Consumer surplus is the extra benefit buyers receive when they pay less than the maximum they were willing to pay. If someone would pay $50 for a concert ticket but buys it for $30, the remaining $20 is surplus. The idea measures value gained beyond the price paid. Consumer surplus is the gap between what a buyer was willing to pay and what the buyer actually paid. A bottle of water may be worth little at home and much more during a long walk in hot weather. Willingness to pay is personal. The same product can create different surplus for different people. If someone would pay $40 for a ticket but buys it for $25, the extra value feels like a gain. Market price is shared, but personal value is not. In everyday life, two customers may pay the same price for a phone while one values the camera deeply and the other barely uses it. Consumer surplus depends on the buyer's own situation. The idea explains why a low price can feel satisfying even before any money is earned back. A demand curve can be read as buyers lined up by willingness to pay. The buyers above the price line receive surplus. Some buyers value the product highly, while others only buy if the price is low. Surplus changes when demand, urgency, income, substitutes, and personal preference change. A shopper ready to pay full price who finds the item on sale feels they gained extra value. The price changed, but the personal value may not have changed. Discounts make the concept easy to see. A sale creates more surplus only if the buyer genuinely values the item above the sale price. Consumer surplus is not always cash in the pocket. It can feel like convenience, relief, time saved, comfort, or enjoyment. That is why economics uses money to describe something that may feel emotional. A buyer feels consumer surplus when the purchase delivers more value than the money given up. That is why inflation can feel painful even when purchases continue. The surplus can shrink when prices rise. A family may still buy groceries, fuel, or rent, but the gap between value and price becomes smaller. This is why two people can pay the same amount and feel very different levels of value. Necessities often create high willingness to pay. Medicine, housing, and basic food can be valued intensely because going without them is costly. High willingness to pay does not mean the buyer is happy about the price. Waiting for a sale can increase surplus if the buyer already wanted the product at a higher price. A buyer may walk away if the price rises because the product is enjoyable but not essential. Luxury goods work differently. Surplus depends on how badly the person wants the extra benefit. Consumer surplus is personal, but economists use it to understand welfare, pricing, and demand. Consumer surplus helps explain why people love marketplaces. Competition can increase surplus by lowering prices or improving quality. A person can compare sellers and choose the option that delivers the most value for the money. The concept is strongest when the buyer's maximum price is clear enough to compare with the market price. Hidden costs reduce real surplus. A cheap flight with luggage fees, long delays, and bad timing may deliver less value than the headline price suggests. The full experience matters, not only the posted price. A discount creates little surplus when the item was unwanted in the first place. A cheaper product that takes hours to find, return, or repair may not create as much surplus as it first appears. Buyers often trade money against time and hassle. Time can be part of the calculation. A bargain is only a bargain when the product was worth more to the buyer than the money paid. Surplus can change after purchase. A product that looked exciting online may disappoint when it arrives, lowering the value the buyer actually feels. Expected value and experienced value are not always the same. Two customers can pay the same price but experience very different value from the same product. That is why the same basic service may have many price levels. Premium versions, subscriptions, C-classes, and personalized pricing all aim to charge closer to what different buyers will pay. Businesses try to capture more consumer surplus. Consumer surplus shrinks when urgency rises and the buyer has fewer alternatives. Consumer surplus is one reason reviews matter. Better information can prevent paying for disappointment. Reviews help buyers estimate whether the product will deliver enough value above the price. The idea explains why convenience, scarcity, and timing change willingness to pay. A cheap item that breaks quickly may create less surplus than a durable item with a higher price. A mistake is thinking low price always means high surplus. Value depends on what the buyer actually receives. A buyer feels consumer surplus when the purchase delivers more value than the money given up. Public policy uses the idea when measuring welfare. If a regulation, tax, or shortage raises prices, some buyers lose surplus even if the product still exists. Policy effects are partly about who loses value and how much. Good buying decisions start by knowing the maximum price before the seller presents the offer. The payment may happen through ads, data, or attention instead. Consumer surplus also explains why free services feel powerful. A useful map, search tool, or app may cost nothing at the moment of use, creating large perceived value. Waiting for a sale can increase surplus if the buyer already wanted the product at a higher price. For personal decisions, estimate your real maximum before seeing the price. If the price is low but the item solves no meaningful problem, the surplus may be imaginary. A clear maximum protects against impulse buying. Surplus is strongest when the buyer pays less than the personal value they honestly expected. It is the gap between what something is worth to you and what you actually pay. Consumer surplus shows why a good deal is more than a low price. Understanding that gap makes shopping, pricing, and policy debates easier to judge. A buyer feels consumer surplus when the purchase delivers more value than the money given up. In consumer surplus, ask who pays, who benefits, who adjusts behavior, and what changes when the price or rule moves. Consumer surplus becomes useful when it explains an actual market choice rather than a memorized definition. Waiting for a sale can increase surplus if the buyer already wanted the product at a higher price. A discount creates little surplus when the item was unwanted in the first place. Two customers can pay the same price but experience very different value from the same product. A discount creates little surplus when the item was unwanted in the first place. Consumer surplus is easiest to understand when the buyer knows their own limit before the price appears. If a person decides that a product is worth $50 to them and finds it for $30, the extra satisfaction is clear. If the same person buys only because a sale countdown creates pressure, the discount may hide a weak decision rather than create real value.